Welcome back to my channel. Before I start, I want to say there's a phrase that I heard someone say that I really love, and I want to meditate on it a little bit more to understand why I love it so much. But the phrase is one hand washes the other hand, both hands wash the face. And I feel like that's a beautiful analogy for community care. And I'm surprised I haven't heard that before. Anyway, hey, it's me. Someone complimented my skin today. Like, some strangers were freaking out about how nice my skin is. Like, a woman was walking past me and she's like, oh, your skin is amazing. And then everyone was like, your skin is amazing. I was like, oh my God. That's so wild because I don't know if y'all can see, but I have like a little constellation forming on different parts of my face. So I'm just like, ma'am, you did a double take for this? You should see me when I think my skin looks amazing. And this is a reminder to always compliment people. Well, not always, but you get the point. Go out of your way to compliment people because you never know how people are feeling down about themselves and how much you could lift them up just by saying something nice. And then the other thing is, even when you think you're doing something at its worst, your worst, still better than most people's best. I got all types of bumps everywhere. And people think this is worth a double take. No. Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you. And I would believe her because I was getting a free wax at training some students. So everyone in there was an esthetician. So it's their job to know skin. And the compliments I got on how smooth and beautiful and hairless and da. My skin was like, damn, thanks. As you can tell, it's late. I was at church until a little late. We had revival. Which brings me to my actual topics for today. Wearing this bracelet in church is always an interesting time. I wish it was tighter on the wrist so that it stayed up here so I could tuck it under my sleeve. Because I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers. I am gay, but I don't want people to think that I'm wearing this because fuck y'all. Like, if I could just get this adjusted like that. Oof. If I could just get this shit adjusted. Or maybe I could like clip it. Because I'm never taking it off. I don't take these bracelets off. Maybe I can figure out a way to clip it. Or I could just get it adjusted. The next time I'm in Kenya, I'm sure they can figure it out. Yeah, but it's probably one of those things where like, once you close it, oh man, I'm tired. It's midnight. Once you close it, it's closed. Anyway, revival. So, if you don't know what revival is, I don't know what revival is either. All I know is I was there. It's basically what I experienced was a church service on a Wednesday. I don't know why it's called a revival. What is revival? We have unprecedented access to information and people do not use Google enough. What is a spiritual awakening from a state of dormancy, outpouring of God's presence, favor? What is revival service? It's designed to reawaken spiritual passion. And that's what happened. Inspire active church members and call people to repentance or conversion. Help inspire active members of the church to gain new converts. Girl, we do that every week. Anyway, the message today was so on time for me. I didn't want to record the past couple of days because I was in a really negative headspace. And I was debating on like whether I show myself in that negative headspace, knowing that some people's first impression of me will be that headspace, or the opposite, which is like show myself I'm tired in that negative headspace because you deserve the real me and my vulnerability and my life as it's actually lived day to day. not just the motivational, all good, we will prevail, persevere version. I've been in a negative headspace because I've been feeling pretty abandoned by God. And that's not very inspiring, and I don't want to mislead anyone else into getting into that headspace, so I didn't record. I recorded videos, but not about that. And today's message was in response to that. First, for whatever reason, I can't remember, something triggered it or just popped in my head. I remembered what Jesus' last words were, and his last words, Jesus, one of the three in the Trinity, co-creator of the entire universe, a man who the entire Bible is about the prophecy of. Jesus' last words. Homeboy walked on water, raised people from the dead, healed the sick. His entire life, adult life. Jesus' last words were, my God, why have you forsaken me? And I feel like I'm getting sick because I was crying so much at church. Like, my whole respiratory system is just right now. Because I was like, damn, if Jesus, who's literally Jesus, second person to ever exist, helped create everything we know, prophesied to come here and die, agreed to come here and die for us, rebuked people all the time during his ministry about not having enough faith, performed all types of miracles, literally knows, has a guarantee about how this is supposed to go because he's been spending the past several years teaching the prophecy to others. Still, when his life was about to end and restart, he spent the night praying. First of all, the fact that Jesus prays to God, important detail. Spent the night praying for God to take this cup from me, aka I don't want to die. Over and over and over again, to the point of sweating in the middle of the night. And he came here to do exactly that. He literally prayed for the thing he came here to do, the thing that's been prophesied for thousands of years, to not happen, because he was in so much agony about it. And he prayed to who? To God. Even though he knows he has received all authority from God, he's still asking God, can we not do this? And then it still happens anyway, because it's the prophecy down. And despite knowing that it's the prophecy and knowing that he will wake up a few days later, in that moment, the last thing he has to say when he's about to die is, my God, why have you forsaken me? And yes, he's quoting Psalms, which is David, which is a man after God's own heart, despite the fact that David was a terrible man, lustful, murderous, whatever. Still a man after God's own heart, which says a lot about your own imperfections in your relationship with God. So he's quoting David, but he genuinely means it. He feels forsaken by God. The second person to ever be in existence, the person who helped create the literal universe, the person whose whole prophecy points to this moment. He knows exactly what's going to happen, which is he's going to wake up in a little bit. He feels abandoned by God. And if he can feel abandoned by God, even though he had a whole prophecy to back it up, and he was God incarnate himself, then obviously me feeling abandoned by God doesn't mean I've been abandoned by God. Doesn't mean this is the end. Doesn't mean that God doesn't care. Doesn't mean God's not listening at all. And that was a really helpful reminder. And that wasn't even the sermon. The sermon was about Jesus being asleep in the boat and the disciples asking, do you not care that we're going to perish? Which is what I've been asking God all week. I was like, wow, you hate me. You hate me. God hates me, y'all. That was the headspace I was in. Is God hates me. Clearly not true. Clearly he cares. Yes, he does not want us to perish. Just because it feels like Jesus is asleep in the boat doesn't mean he doesn't care, and it doesn't mean you're gonna die. God's peace or lack of movement in your life, let me speak to myself. God's peace or lack of movement in my life is not a testimony to him being absent or uncaring. It literally just means everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. And I have to remind myself, right, that's what the sermon was. As a Christian, you'll have many storms in life. You can still be in the middle of a storm, freaking out, and Jesus is sleeping. Asleep, bro. Not calm. He's literally knocked out. And you will be fine. Because God is powerful. Because the absence of a storm isn't the presence of peace. And you can have the presence of peace in the middle of a storm. Not only you, but God can be chilling. Deep in REM sleep. While there is a literal life-threatening storm all around you. All around you. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. The weapons still form. He prepares a table before me in front of my enemies. Your enemies still exist. And they're actually watching you eat. If you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move, and it will be thrown into the sea. Mountains still exist. Storms still exist. Enemies still exist. Weapons still exist. And you will be at peace in the middle of all of it. And today was a great reminder that I don't need the absence of weapons. I'm so tired. Absence of weapons, absence of enemies, absence of mountains, an absence of storms for God to be present and for God to be caring and for God to be active in my life. It just means everything will be fine. Because he's right there. He's always there. He's always there. And if Jesus literally thought God had forsaken him and abandoned him, then every moment that I feel like God has forsaken me or abandoned me, and I'm not even that important compared to Jesus, again, man had a whole prophecy on his life. Like the whole Bible was about the prophecy of Jesus. The whole thing. Bro, what? If the whole Bible were written about me, I feel like I'd be chilling. But I guess not. So yeah. If Jesus himself, knowing everything he knows about heaven and earth, future and past, can feel like God forsook him, then the way I feel forsook right now does not mean anything about the actual situation and is not the truth. And the devil loves to distort the truth. And he did a really good job at that this week because, wow, I thought God hated me. I thought he had turned his back on me. And that's how Jesus felt right before he died. But guess who got back up?